Hello, my YouTube friends, and welcome to Rome, Italy. I know it looks super beautiful, right? You can see the background of the wall of my Airbnb, so I hope that really impresses you guys. Should be pretty good, though. I have some few things in mind. Good morning. My name is Adam Kahn, and this is Investing with Adam K. Today is Tuesday, July 2nd. It's actually still July 1st by you guys, but it's July 2nd here. Great day in the markets again. Stocks seem to still be doing the same as they have been. Equities look pretty strong, which I'm happy to see. I'm still waiting and hoping for that melt up that I've been talking about. And my guess is, and this will be a really long time frame, we're anywhere from 6 months to maybe even 5 years out. It seems pretty early in the cycle. If those of you who remember it from the 90s, we finally hit a point where the markets just went up pretty much every day, making new highs until it sucked out all the cash on the sidelines, where people were finally getting in and giving up on other investments and just deciding that stocks were the only place to be. I don't think we're anywhere close to that yet. And the other thing is, I still want to be invested in the things that continue to go faster than anything else, which includes the Magnificent Seven and a few others. I'm trying to stay away from the ones that I think are deals or discounted at this point because they could stay discounted a long time. I know I talked about Nike in a previous video. I got a little bit of people talking about how they're going to hold it for the long run, and I think that's great. So remember, like always, this is not financial advice. This is just my opinion and what works for me. Please don't use any of the information that I suggest for decisions you guys make with your finances. You guys need to reach out to your financial advisor, do your own research, or however you choose to do it for yourselves, because we all have unique situations and mine's going to be different than you. But for me personally, when I look at a company like Nike and what's going on, I worry that it's going to have a long time before it can start turning around. When I look at the kids and what they wear, it's a lot different than when we were kids. I mean, Nike was it. Everybody wanted Jordans. Now there's so many different options to choose from. They're not doing a lot of marketing. I'm not seeing the kids the same way that all they want is a pair of Nike shoes. There's so many alternatives and they all wear some unique different things. I think Nike is losing its focus, getting wrapped up in what it used to be where there were only two competitors and their name was king, that they're falling behind and they're getting outdated. I think there's a lot of things that are way quote unquote cooler or what to wear. And I don't want to wait the next 2 or 3 years or however long it takes before they start to get traction again. Now, I agree with the people that are talking about holding it for 20 years. I get it. They have a good brand. At some point, they'll probably turn around. And I know you guys have heard me before talking about how I invest in the long run. But I'm still much more comfortable with a company like Amazon that I also think in 20 years will be doing great, but currently is actually succeeding and pushing forward and doing really well. The other one I've noticed, which I assume you guys have been keeping an eye on as well, is Boeing, which retested that area around $170 a share. It's back above 180. It actually closed at, I think, $186 a share and even tested almost $190 at one point. I didn't look close enough to see if it actually breached it or not. You know, that's kind of what I've been talking about, looking for bad news on good companies. I don't think they're the greatest of the greatest. They're not like a company I want to own forever, but it's been a great trade and it's been in this range for a while. I've actually had an opportunity to buy it a couple times at that 170-ish range. I've been getting in around 175 and 173 has been when where I've been picking it up. And when I say that, it might be 173 and 80 cents. It's just with those three digits. Um, and then as it gets to close to 190, on the additional shares that I have, I sell calls against it. I'm long a little bit of the stock, and I sold a 190 call that expires in the middle of July. And I actually hope that I get taken on that so that I can move on to a different trade and potentially, if it falls back down, try it again and see if it works again. Sometimes companies get stuck in a range and they can trade between those ranges, 4, 5, 6 times, and I'm just making up those numbers, but really you can do it a bunch of times and give you a lot of opportunity to continue to range trade stocks. Boeing may or may not be one of those, which is why I just keep an eye on the markets and the ranges and where they go. And how about Tesla? I assume most of you have been watching Tesla, which finally breached 200 and blew right through it yesterday. And I saw it at one point trading $213 a share. I think it closed right around $210 a share. But what a great move after the last earnings to go from, boy, I think it was below $140. It might have been just above it. But that was such a short time ago. I mean, we haven't even gotten to the next earnings yet. We're maybe a month away. The news of Elon Musk seems to be out of the newscasters' minds. All the negative that was coming out that drove the stock lower, and I still think that's one of the top companies to own. I said to my buddy through text yesterday when I said, "Geez, have you seen what it's doing?" And he says, "Yeah." And I go, "I hope to own it to making new highs." What I find is when a great company finally gets rid of the bad news and it's pushed it lower, it then starts reversing its direction and it keeps going that way. That doesn't mean it should continue the way it's had the past week or so, where it's really erupted, but it means it should have ups and downs, but now be continuing in the up direction. Now, again, like anything, it's possible it's wrong. It could reverse and start going lower. But what I would like to see now is pullbacks that look scary but are short lived, and then it slowly keep drifting higher so that people are too scared to buy it. And it just doing that time and time again. And in the next 2, 3 years, we blink, and all of a sudden we're looking at it and it's trading above, its all-time high is about $400 a share. I would like to see it get above that. And I kind of said in the text, I don't know, maybe I'm too greedy and I should just take the profits. But that's my point of the things that I want to own for a long time. I see so many Teslas on the road. I think there's so many great things about the company. It's a company I want to own for me and my family and my wife and my son. It's not something I'm looking for a trade in. And at this point, what I saw is the negative news, the stock collapse, and now it seems to be reversing and going higher. Hopefully, I'm right on it. And hopefully, I look back in a few years and it's trading $450 and I'm thrilled. And not that it does anything or I do anything with it, but, you know, I guess we'll see in a few years where it is. I'm also still trying to figure out what the Trump trade would be if he won the election. So if any of you have good ideas on that, by all means, make a comment in the comment section. The interesting thing is, as the news has been going on about how he's clobbered it in the debates and Biden has no chance, part of me thinks sometimes that information is counterintuitive and maybe it's incorrect. Now, I think it's correct, and again, I don't have a political opinion. I'm just trying to analyze it, not telling you that I like this one or that one. But it's interesting to me when the news talks about how one guy has a huge advantage and there's no chance for the other guy. Sometimes I feel like that draws out the supporters of the other guy and all the people who think that their candidate is just going to crush it don't worry about it and don't get to the polls. So as the media continues to talk about how Trump just crushed it, Biden has no chance, and part of me thinks it's possible that means that Biden supporters are going to end up coming out of the woodwork to get their votes out there because they're worried that their candidate's not going to lose, not going to win. And the Trump supporters are going to be all relaxed that they're just going to crush it and maybe not get to the polls because he crushed it in the debate. Anyway, just some thoughts on it. But I do want to have some ideas of the stocks I'd want to own if Trump won, because despite the way I saw the debates too, Biden was struggling. Trump was a little bit stronger. There should have been opportunities of things that Trump talked about that Biden shouldn't have been able to respond to, and at least call him out to say, where are your facts? Can you prove that? Or, you know, some sort of response that was better than what it was to show a little bit more strength. So, at least in terms of the debate, I do think the media is accurate. I still, as I said in the video, kind of wonder how that plays out. But I'd like to have some prepared ideas of where I'd want some money in case Trump does win, because I do think that stuff does play through. And this time around will be different than the last time. And of course, as always, one of my favorite topics, the gloom and doomers who I listen to. Guys, again, not financial advice, but as long as there's enough fear out there and as long as the inflation's continuing and so forth, the economy is actually doing just fine. Back at home, I still talk to friends who are telling me the same thing, which is places are busy, people are out and about. We all don't like inflation, myself included. But here as well, my God, we went to Trevi Fountain. You couldn't even see the fountain. There were so many people out and about. I hear English, I hear German, I hear all sorts of languages, not just Italian. People are traveling, people are spending money, companies are doing fine. And as long as they're doing okay, earnings are going to continue to do better and better, and the markets are going to continue to go higher. I understand some things are not doing well, and to some degree, it is the tale of two worlds. But that's generally the case. Some companies thrive and some companies do poorly. Just because we don't like the inflation does not mean the world is ending. I understand that the government is spending money, the petrodollar, all the things we talk about, the higher cost of a house, the higher the interest rates, that it's all becoming unaffordable. Well, I'm going to tell you what, as they continue to spend and as the inflation slows but continues higher, things like houses are likely to get less affordable and continue to go higher, whether that's in price or interest rate. It really doesn't matter which one. Part of it is the things that the people in those videos talk about, but where the disconnect is you're not going to see inflation continue, but house prices drop. It doesn't really work like that. If there's inflation and things get more expensive, everything gets more expensive, including a house. Now, that might be more expensive in terms of interest rate, and that might be more expensive in terms of price. But my suggestion, whether it's stocks, whether it's a house, whether it's baseball cards, whether it's wine that you know how to collect and not drink, just collect, or artwork or whatever it is save and put away and get your money into those investments, because assets are going to continue to go higher as long as we continue with this cycle. And I don't see this cycle ending tomorrow. I think we have some time. And if you're like me, where you try to time the markets, you have to be patient and wait for the real eruption, which hasn't come yet. We've seen things go higher. When people look at it, they shake their heads and think, oh my God, it's gotten so much more expensive. That's only because they missed an opportunity when it was really inexpensive. Now, if we go back to COVID and before, I kept thinking, my God, houses are so inexpensive and rates are so low. I couldn't believe you could buy a house with a $1,200 a month payment. That just floored me. Now, I'm talking about Las Vegas specifically because that's where I was. I really couldn't believe that. Well, that's no longer the case. It shouldn't be that inexpensive. And it has changed. Just because it's changed and we've missed that opportunity doesn't mean that it has to go back to that. I think that's where a little bit of the disconnect is. We might see a little bit of a correction, but this is the thing, even during COVID and everything else, especially in housing, the Fed and the government learned ways to help people not lose their house. And if there's a real correction like there was in 2008, my guess is they're going to step in and use some of those systems that they've learned to stop a real housing collapse from happening, which is going to cause houses to get less and less affordable. If they have solutions to keep people in their homes so that they don't lose them, well, that's just going to make it worse. They kind of mess up the natural ebbs and flows of markets, what people refer to as the Fed put. And I think the reality is they have Fed puts in all of these places now, so they are able to stop markets from naturally correcting the way they might. They're more concerned with saving people than letting the natural ebbs and flows. and those who've overextended get wiped out, and new people be able to come in and create opportunity from there. It creates a sense of stability. It's unfair to those who don't have, and that's just a reality, and there's no way for me to fix that. I don't control it. And unfortunately, for those who don't have, I do think it's important to rush as quickly as you can to have something. Put your money away, even as little as it is. I know it, discouraging. I know it's frustrating. You know, you put $100 in a stock and it goes to 105, and you think, what's the point? I mean, you're happy to make the $5, but it's only $5. The point is you add another $100, and you add another $100. And as you continue and it continues to grow, it grows quicker and quicker. And eventually, hopefully, you get to that point where there's enough in there to make a difference, whether it's pay a cell phone bill, or maybe it grows to be able to pay some groceries, or eventually maybe grows to be able to pay whether it's rent or mortgage or whatever it is. And then it just continues and snowballs from there. It's amazing how it starts so small and just snowballs like that. It's incredible. And the longer you do it, the better a habit you create. And eventually it's kind of fun watching the account grow. And a little bit on a different subject, what's tough for me is going around Europe and seeing the way that they live their lives and thinking of how I grew up with work, 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 save, 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 and obviously with my channel, how important I think that is, and watching them and seeing how what they see as value and recognizing that that's really important is time and family and having some fun. They work a lot less hours. They take a break between lunch and dinner. It seems really nice. I mean, we watched this family who had a pizza restaurant. It was a husband and wife. It looked like they opened at 11 in the morning. They closed around 1:30, 2 o'clock. They then reopened around 5 o'clock, had dinner service, closed at around 10 o'clock, and they lived upstairs. They seemed super happy. Looked like a really cool way to be. I mean, when I think about it, because I've had a restaurant, or if you had a jewelry shop or a clothing store or whatever, how nice. You go in, you open up for the morning around 2 o'clock after a little bit of a morning business. You close shop for 2 or 3 hours. Go home, relax, have a cup of vino, whatever it is you do, talk to some friends, hang out, and then go back to work at 5 o'clock. I mean, you get a nice long break, you relax, get some stuff done, go back, you open up for the night crowd, and then go home at the end of the night or go out or whatever you do, because people really go out until 1 or 2 in the morning. The place kind of comes to life. It's kind of cool. Anyway, before I forget, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, make some comments. Let me know what you guys think. Tell me about the Trump trade again. Let me know what you think you should be invested in if he wins the election. Anyway, have a great rest of your day. Hopefully I can talk again tomorrow, if not the next day. Hopefully the sound quality is a little bit better than when I tried to do it outdoors, which is why I just sat in the Airbnb and did it. Have a great day.